right, welcome everybody to this episode of O365A. On today's episode, we are going to talk with Graham Walsh. He's a product specialist and responsible for strategic alliances with Neat. And Neat's a maker of video and communication devices for Microsoft Teams. And it's a timely subject with fresh new COVID restrictions, reinforcing the hybrid work scenario that we've all grown to adapt to. So welcome, Graham. And thanks for coming on the podcast. And given that Neat is relatively new, could you tell us a little bit about Neat and then maybe just give an introduction to your role at Neat and yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me on the show. So Graham Walsh. So I'm based out of here in the UK and sort of lockdown semi-type thing, advised to work from home. I joined Neat about 6 weeks ago now, as you say, to be this product specialist on our devices, but also lead on our Microsoft go-to-market, and that's our strategic alliance with Microsoft moving forward. Historically, people might know of Neat as being exclusive with Zoom. That was the coming out party in 2019, when the devices were designed and exclusively used for Zoom rooms. Fast forward to the hybrid work event in June last year, where Neat was announced as a new vendor for Microsoft Teams rooms. And exclusively, all devices are based on Android, and with a number of features, a number of devices in different sizes, etc. So built in Norway, in the area called Video Valley, so where things like Tamberg and then Cisco, Pexup, Hudley, Videxio, lots of video engineers and special skills up there. So that's where they all hide in the winter, when it's full of snow, there's nothing else to do. Let's develop video codecs. So our goal is to have, the best video codec platform simplicity to set up for end users, whether it is, whatever platform of choice they have. Obviously, Microsoft Teams.
Very cool. Could you just give us a high-level overview of the types of products and what they look like?
So what we have is a range of products, starting off for your standard sort of meeting room or space, and that's called a Neat Bar. And we have two variants. A new version has come out called a Neat Bar Pro. So that's, again, larger room. So again, Neat Bar for small to medium rooms, and then Bar Pro for medium to large rooms. So better mic pickups, better audio, etc. Video pickup as well. So again, it's a fixed lens camera. So no moving parts in these devices. It's an all-in-one, let's call it video bar, built on the Android 10 platform, running the Microsoft Teams app. So therefore, your sort of nice and easy installation, power, network, and obviously you could run it over Wi-Fi as well if you wanted to. And then obviously you've got things like HDMI ingest and then single or dual display. So everything you'd expect from a Microsoft Teams room. What's also really exciting is what we see on the left-hand side of this image here is that we have a product called a Neat Board. So this is a 65-inch display with that Neat Bar fixed to the top and slightly angled, and get available for a table mount, wall mount, or as you see here on a trolley, so you can move it around. Again, native Android experience on here. You have your calendar, you have your Meet Now button, calling, depending on what plan you have on your Teams license. Again, another exciting piece coming for Microsoft Teams Room Premium is the ability to add Android to that premium platform as well. So today you manage it through Teams Admin Center, but very shortly from Microsoft, you'll be able to manage the Android devices in premium as well if you want that extra sort of service from Microsoft. Supports the Microsoft Whiteboard. Those of you who have played with Whiteboard since the recent updates in the past couple of months, it's truly amazing. So you can use your finger to draw. You can bring up a virtual keyboard. You want to type some sticky notes, or it's supplied with 2 pens as well, so you can draw on there. They're just like a normal rubber tip pen, so like you use on your tablet or your phone. It's not a special pen like you would find, say, on a Surface Hub. And that's probably one of the biggest questions is, how does it compare to a Surface Hub? And we haven't got all day to cover that one. But it's a different use case on there. And then also, as you see in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a Teams scheduling panel. So Teams panel goes outside the room. Those are all your standard, room booking. Some new features come in there, such as room check-in, capacity alerts as well. So using the AI and the camera to count the number of people. When you check in, it'll tell you on the message on the front of the room display, your next guests are here, etc. But also then the same pad doubles up as the room controller as well. So controlling that Neat bar in the room. And then finally, probably the wrong term, but I'm going to use it. The most sexiest device here as well is that we have a Teams display category called the Neat Frame. So this is a portrait 15.6-inch display. Just connects over power and goes onto the Wi-Fi. And it's a portrait mode. So if you think of us as people, we're portrait, we're not landscape. So it's designed for that sort of one-to-one communication, or obviously one-to-many, and also have content sharing on there. So this will fall into that Teams display category, which, Microsoft has put in a big push on in terms of, adding hot desking features to use it as a companion device, whether you're at home, talking about this hybrid working, or you're in a hot desk space where you go into the office and you want to drop in, or in like a video booth or phone booth area where you want to put an all-in-one device without having to have many cables, etc., to install and manage, webcams and sound bars, etc. It's not a nice, simple display that you drop into any space, and it's using all the great same technology that we have in all our cameras. So some of the unique features we have at Neat is a feature called Neat Symmetry, where we automatically detect people and crop them and frame them, so you can stand up and move around and you're still in frame, and the usual group framing that you have there as well.
Great overview. Yeah, they look neat. Well, one thing I find interesting, you used the word simple a couple of times, and I think you're on record of saying, the motto of Neat is making video as simple as possible, which seeing people struggle so much with video, that really interests me. Can you just comment about, what that device lineup is, what it does in terms of just bringing simplicity to the video experience?
So in terms of sort of setup, you have a power source, inbuilt power brick. So there's no external adapter. Like our laptops, we have a power brick. Everything's internal. So there's nothing else to mount, say, wherever you mount on a table or above a display. So the power is embedded, should we say. It's just a figure of 8 power cord. Obviously, you could use Wi-Fi, so you don't need a network cable. Obviously, it's advised to use networking physical cables, obviously in meeting rooms, etc., because it's going to be heavily used. And then obviously a single HDMI cable to your screen or 2 screens. So very, very simple there to set up. And then the out-of-box experience is, really key. Open the box, you get a QR code to scan, or even on the touchpad, it tells you what mounting options are there, what screws you need to take out of the box. So every single cable is included, Ethernet cables, HDMI. Obviously, if you're fixing it to a wall or a drywall, you need to have those fixings. But 99% of everything is included in the box, and there's simple, video guides on the touch panel when you get that out-of-box experience. Select your date and time, checks that you're on a time server, etc. And then you're into the Teams experience, for example. And that's where you can then do things like Teams Admin Center, remote provisioning, and provision it remotely. Or sign in with your Microsoft.com/device login and put in that 8 or 9 digit code that's on the screen. And then you're up and running. So it is trying to be really simple. So, and that's actually one thing we do at Neat. When you're on board, we ship you a box of a Neat bar and a Neat pad. And let's say most people are able to get it up and running. As long as they've obviously had a license assigned or they're using their personal license, then, you can get it up and running. The only time it might come in to issues, if you're run into Intune issues, expanding the limits of number of devices registered, which, if they're set too low and you've signed it in and out a few times, testing, you might hit those errors. But for the average user, between ourselves and Microsoft, we're trying to make it very simple to set up the device.
Yeah, that sounds good. And as a guy who went through 200 cables yesterday looking for a display port to HDMI cable and couldn't find one, that's music to my ears. Just having everything you need right there. That's great. Over to you, Dina.
Yeah, thanks for that overview, Graham. The one device that I found intriguing, and I don't believe it's available yet, is the Neat.1, the portable device. And I'm wondering, in this day and age with COVID, I guess, that looks like it could be a device you could ship out to users, like a home-based device. But I'm also wondering, when things hopefully get back to normal, I could see that, like, with sales and marketing and field techs take it with them and have meetings on-prem, and now you don't have to worry about, I'm just going to show up, I still want to have a Teams meeting, or whatever. I'm sure you support other technologies, and then just show up, and it's like, bring your own meeting now. And that's kind of what I was thinking about when I saw it. And the fact that it's kind of tiny, I could stick it in my bag and carry it with me. I'm not sure if that's the intended use of it, but maybe you can just chat a bit about that.
Indeed, you've hit the nail on the head there. Having high quality meeting on the go or wherever you go. So it'll come with a nice carry pouch, protective, etc. The camera is the same camera in all our other devices. So in that Neat frame, the Neat board, Neat bars, so it'll do that auto framing, etc. But what's unique about it, I think, really, is that it embeds the mic and speakers there as well. So you've got that all-in-one, let's call it a mini soundbar or mini video bar. So you have that high quality audio video experience wherever you are. A single USB-C cable connects it to your laptop. And as you say, whatever meeting platform you have on your laptop, you need to join, and away you go. So yeah, it's basically taking that, if you think about when you pack your bag, when you used to travel to a customer site, you'd have to have your headset, maybe your speaker puck, your external camera if you wanted something better. So it's taken away, again, all the complex things of, I forgot the USB-C cable, or, you forget something. It's that all-in-one device that can then have, that great meeting experience wherever you are. So if you're used to having, the Neat Symmetry, for example, framing you at your desk, when you go to your customer site or a meeting in a Starbucks, you can have that same great experience wherever you are.
Yeah, and Graham, I think you touched on a few things. So Neat is new to the team certification program. Can you tell us where you're at in that kind of cycle, so that people can start, getting the certified devices?
Yeah, so announced in June back last year, and then the engineering team obviously started work on there. We then actually, might be my influence, the week I joined Neat, we had our first build we could test internally to everyone. So maybe it was me joining that influenced that. I'm not sure. I like to take that crown. But yeah, so start of December, we had an internal, let's call it alpha build. Then we actually, over the Christmas period, shipped out about 150 devices to all the Microsoft testers, the TAP program testers. So in the new year, they were able to start the TAP program now. So it's going through that certification and validation. So one of the things we're quite proud of, actually, or hoping to be, is that what the fastest partner to be certified by Microsoft of devices. So from TAP starting, I think it was week 2 or the week commencing the 7th of January, whenever it was, to hopefully end of this month or early next month, we'll have the devices fully certified. So that's quite exciting. And what's even more exciting is we have stock of everything. So all the devices that are going to be certified, and probably actually just a quick note on that, there's going to be 2 waves of certification. So wave 1 will be the team scheduling panel outside the room, obviously the pad to control the meeting, the bar and the board. So that's wave 1. And then wave 2 will be the Neat frame, the desktop device there, and then the Neat Bar Pro for the larger room. So we're just going to split it up into separate phases, just to fill in sort of Microsoft's backlog, and as they obviously certify other vendors for other devices as well. So that's the sort of timeline for getting devices. So any device a customer has brought for the past 2+ years from Neat will be able to move to that Teams platform if that's what they choose to do. It's not a hot swap. You either choose your Zoom platform that you've been using today, or you go to Teams.
No, I think one of the neat things about Neat is I've been testing a lot of the hardware from the other manufacturers, and one of the first key differentiators that I've seen is the Neatpad, right? So being able to buy a single device that could either be a a controller or a console or a scheduling panel. So you can repurpose the device if your room, shifts as you're, dealing with hybrid meetings or, restructuring your room. So I think that ability of having that one form factor, just a software decision of what that purpose is going to be is a big win.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, the camera having no moving parts and being kind of used across the different device platforms, I think that's going to be pretty powerful in the Neat frame. I have used the other display options on the market, and one of the things I struggle is just getting the camera, because it's a fixed device.
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to adjust the camera, tilt it in any way. So if there isn't intelligence in the camera, it makes it hard for what different scenarios of where you may place that device. So I'm looking forward to the Neat frame with that camera, especially being able to kind of put that in portrait mode and then not have to tilt it or twist it around to make it work.
Sit sideways.
Yeah, the one thing you mentioned was Neat Symmetry. So this is I think Microsoft talked about that the camera manufacturers are coming up with intelligence in their cameras and being able to split out individual people within kind of a group setting. Can you talk about what that experience is in teams using that technology and maybe what that may look like in the future?
So on what we call Neat Symmetry, and that's where we sort of pick up a person's torso. So not just their face, but their body as well. So by identifying a person, i.e. like a silhouette or a shadow of a person, then we will pick them up and frame them. So regardless of, your height, my fiance, she's 5 foot, she's a little bit smaller than me. But, Symmetry would frame us equally on the screen, or even my son, he's 4'9", he's catching up with her. But we would frame everyone equal. So giving, like we're used to on Teams on our desktop, we have an equal square for everyone. That's the goal for Neat Symmetry, to give everyone equality. But again, that's Microsoft's goal also as part of Front Row. That will come to the devices as well. So we all have our, I call it film strip, we're down the bottom, and we all have an equal square in the conference room as well. So that's one element of, what we're doing inside the camera, and then taking those streams and obviously sending them to Microsoft and having that great experience for everyone. So today we cut it up to 8 people. So it's 4 and then 4 more. So if you imagine your sort of Teams window, you could get up to 8 people in one window today. But with intelligent video as part of those announcements, then the plan, I think, is to strip that out and obviously give everyone an equal, space at the table. Like I'm using Together mode to view all of us. We're all equal on our chairs, which is great.
So, I mean, just continuing a little bit of the discussion. So I know that you mentioned obviously the Neat board, and I think I think for me, one of the first non-Surface Hub competitors product, right? Like we haven't seen it in another MTR or another video company's platform. How do you see sort of the comparison between the I guess the Neat display and the Surface Hub, and what's sort of the major differentiator between the two?
So I think the first one we need to look at is operating system. So obviously Surface Hub, you have that Windows 10, or you can even put it now on a Windows 10 Enterprise. So going back to what enterprises want to manage, do they prefer an appliance-based product, i.e. an Android, or do they prefer to have that more granular control with a Windows 10 device? That's one story. Obviously, Surface Hub comes in 2 sizes today. That was at 50 and the 84, 85. So again, you can go that larger format. Neat board is 65-inch display today. I would say, if you look at the Surface Hub, obviously you've got that 4K camera sort of on top, or you could mount it elsewhere. But I think with the Neat bar and having the audio at the front facing you, it's a sort of slightly different experience. The other thing, obviously, being Android, you get both modes. So you get personal mode, where it can sign in as me and be my companion device, say in my office, or it can be in shared mode. So you have a resource mailbox behind it. So being in personal mode, I can start whiteboard, I can start recording, etc. So it knows where to store it in my OneDrive, for example. One thing you don't have today is when you walk up to the Neat board, you can't start that whiteboard. That's where the Surface Hub sort of excels. You can walk up and doodle and, email it to yourself. So there are some slight differences. But when you sort of use the whiteboard, so Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Whiteboard, you get all those features that you would, insert tables, insert, sticky notes, etc., and annotate them. So that's all, let's call it feature parity. The only one thing I've noticed actually is the multi-touch. So multi-touch is obviously on the Surface. I remember the Surface Hub 1 was, I think, 100, but I don't know, I can't get 100 fingers on the board. On our device, it's 10-point multi-touch, but it's not enabled in Teams yet. So I don't know if that's going to be a feature that Microsoft will unlock or not. That'll be interesting to see. And, management. As I say, really, manage it in Teams Admin Center. It's that all-in-one device. Because what you could do is take that Microsoft Teams room on Windows or Android and plug it into an LG or a Samsung touch display and get a similar experience. But then you've got multiple components. So I think this is where the Android all-in-one board, the Neat board, is sort of, I think, a little bit more simpler, more efficient than, say, bringing your own solution together.
Awesome. And then, so, you mentioned, obviously, it's a Android OS. So, what are your thoughts on sort of like the life cycle? Like, how are you guys keeping, I guess, look from like a future perspective with regards to the Android updates and OS and stuff like that, and ensuring that you keep the appropriate performance on your Neat devices, right?
Indeed. So that's one thing, for example, the Neatpad today is on Android 9. That's where it started. That's going to Android 10 shortly. All the devices are already on Android 10. And once Android 10 work is done, guess what? Android 11. And then once that's done, Android 12. So again, when we build the products, we obviously build enough horsepower in the chipsets we use. And actually, if you think about it, probably COVID and supply chain has given us a good reason to maybe update some of those components so we can future-proof some of them, which is why we have sort of stock of all our devices, because we've picked components that are obviously readily available. So that's quite nice to have as well, having a warehouse full of stock ready to go.
Very good. Well, Graham, that was fantastic. Great overview of the products, what they have to offer, and how they differentiate from Surface Hub. So, as we rely on video more and more to do our daily work and get on with things, this is definitely interesting, and look forward to seeing how this progresses and even trying one out. For our viewers who want to check out the product line, as Graham said, Neat's based in Norway, so the website is Neat.no. Don't do the .com. And Graham, I know you have a good personal blog chock full of great information, so we'll include that in our blog post too.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Take care, Graham. See you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.